You are listening to the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast, where you discover management insights and strategies for your successful dental practice. There are also interviews with key people in the industry who have advice and services to help you and your team achieve great success. Welcome to this episode of the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast. And today, my working buddy, Ameena Basile, how wonderful to have you back on again.
Thank you, Julie. It's great to be back on your podcast.
And we've got a particular reason why you are here. And that is you and I have been doing a whole bunch of work over the last few weeks, probably months, around addressing the concerns that we have been noticing, quite obviously, I think the whole profession's been noticing, with dental practices and the challenges that they have around team recruitment and team management. And that, as well as a few other aspects, has culminated into our business, Dental Business Mastery, deepening the level of work that we're doing with dental practices. There's been a lot of challenges with recruitment that we've noticed, Ameena.
There is. We've lost a lot of staff in the healthcare space, as we all know, and trying to find new people that turn up to interviews and new people that turn up to the job, and then keeping people engaged and enthusiastic in dentistry. I think in healthcare in general, there's so many pressures. So trying to create that really nurturing environment for our people is key. And if they can find that passion and enthusiasm that the leaders in the organisation might have, or the practice owners, then it's a win-win for everyone.
It is. And certainly the calibre of people that the industry is attracting to job interviews through Seek and Indeed and the more traditional ways of recruitment aren't working. As you said, these people aren't turning up to their interviews. If they do turn up, they're turning up in exercise gear and casual attire. There doesn't seem to be the level of work ethic and professionalism, approach to professionalism that's required in order to be very successful in a health management role of patients. And so this challenge is quite different to what was the case when you and I were younger, me a little bit after that, because I'm about 10 years your senior, I think. So what used to happen is the dental profession, in our experience, the dental auxiliary roles such as dental assistant, receptionist, etc., they were filled with people who weren't necessarily passionate about dentistry, but we left school either after year 12 or a little bit earlier to that. Sometimes we were encouraged to leave a little bit earlier as well. And we kind of fell into dental assisting because it was one of the roles we could fulfill without any formal training. And you get a lot of on-the-job training. We go into that role. We end up loving our jobs, loving the profession, and we stick with it for decades and decades and enjoy great fulfillment from our roles in the industry. And the profession was filled with people like us. And people like us are still in the dental assisting reception roles, maybe practice management, patient facilitation, maybe practice ownership. Maybe they've gone on to in other areas, but still within the profession, such as dental sales, consulting, all the things. The opportunities are wide and broad, and the level of fulfillment and joy that you can achieve as a dental auxiliary in the dental profession, in our experience, is immense. And we thought, what's going wrong with the industry that all of a sudden there's a big gap there, and the people like us aren't actually finding themselves in the dental industry anymore? There's a whole lot of reasons why. Nowadays, there's so many more opportunities for further learning and study. A lot of people take a little bit of time off, but then go back to study later on. Maybe they go into dental assisting, then they go into hygiene or oral health therapy instead. It could be a generational change, and certainly different generations have different desires, hopes, dreams, all the things. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why we're in the position that we're in. However, what we don't want to have happen, or what we don't want to be the reason, is that people outside the industry that don't really have any idea about what it's like to work in the dental profession, that they think it's a nowhere position or it's boring or not great satisfaction. That's what we're trying to avoid.
And I think the reason people like you and I found great fulfillment is because we kept learning and growing and were engaged. I know that I started off with a really bad boss and that didn't know how to treat staff. He wasn't a great leader. He was very much into, I'm paying you, do what I say. And he thought growing people, that, you know, diminishing people's confidence was going to grow people, get them to do a better job. Like, not going to happen. However, I then came across some really good employers and they were great leaders. They showed you that there was further opportunities. You could then open your eyes and see them. I worked for people who did engage, you know, in practice management consultants, for example, that came into the practice and taught us different things. Or they were very happy to send us to conferences all the time where we could learn things. So we always were exposed to, oh, there can be more. There's more things I can learn in this place. I've been chairside assisting the dentist, but now I can actually be part of that. I can start communicating with the patients and help sell the treatment or make their lives easier as clinicians, all these other sorts of things. And slowly you see the world of opportunities. And then we moved on to the front desk and practice management. And for me, I went on and studied practice management and accounting and all those things and got further exposure. Not everybody gets that kind of exposure. Not everybody gets that kind of nurturing or the opportunities. And I think for some employees, they don't have it within them to ask, put their hand up, hey, I want to learn this. Hey, I want to do that kind of thing. So I think having a leader that makes that process a bit easier for them, or that invitation at least, that if you want to learn and grow or you see opportunities, you know, come forward, can really make some good foundations and for a good culture in the practice if you were like that.
For sure, absolutely. And it's certainly one of the things you can do as a dental practice to increase the chances of you attracting and keeping really great employees is to provide those opportunities for skills development and formal skills development. There's also other development as well that has always really intrigued me. And so what I found was the practices that I worked most happily at and gained the greatest fulfillment from were the practices that were happy places to work, that the management of the team was one where kind of everyone was working as a team, recognized the impact they had on each other, but also the impact on the patient as well. With our dental practice management course, one of the assignments that we have is getting people to reflect back and highlight experiences where they felt the greatest level of satisfaction with an interaction with the patient, also with an interaction with a team member, with an interaction with a team leader, so your manager or your boss, but also outside of working environments as well. And this assignment, as you know, it brings us to tears a lot of the time. Like, these are heartfelt experiences. But the one common thread is impact. And so a deep level of fulfillment can be achieved and is achieved when you feel like you're having a great impact on the team members that you're working with and or the patients that you're serving. And the level of fulfillment that I achieved through my working life and the stories that come through that why assignment that we get students to complete, it all comes back to impact. And so you and I do a lot of coaching with dental teams, and we are often encouraging, or all the time, encouraging dental team members to increase levels of job satisfaction by adding additional energy and enthusiasm behind everything that they do both with team members but also with patients as well. And the evidence is clear. It's one of the most compelling things that helps team members and dental teams improve their level of culture and fulfillment within their practices.
Because I guess when there's impact, there's purpose.
Yeah.
You know, you've made that difference. If you're not making a difference in the organisation or to yourself, then it's very hard to find that impact and purpose and fulfillment, isn't it?
And so we can easily fall into the trap of, when we're recruiting for our dental practices, especially when we're suffering from the fact that there's not that many people in the industry, and then when people do come, they end up leaving quite swiftly, and we've got to quickly get them trained up as soon as possible so we can continue with the operations of the day. So we're making decisions based really on today and tomorrow rather than in the long term. it is easy to fall into the trap of trying to recruit people who are already trained in a software system, in dental, the profession itself with charting, etc. So at the very least, they can be blended in and fulfill that position in the practice as soon as possible without too much disruption. However, when you go back to the way we were in the industry was filled with dental auxiliary people who did not have dental on their radar. They weren't thinking, as long as I work in dental, then I'll be passionate about what I do. We fell into it, and then we decided, oh, wow, this is great. It's really fulfilling to work in this kind of environment. And so, considering the challenges that practices have at the moment, it is really our firm belief that the practices that, and we listen to a lot of podcasts from overseas as well, the practices that seem to be getting the greatest success at the moment are those that are trying to attract new people into the industry. And because of the fact they're not looking at dental, they're not looking at those dental ads in Seek, in Indeed. It's about tapping into other networks. And one of the greatest networks we've always said are parents, going to your local Facebook hubs, because if the child who's not doing great at school because they don't conform to the schooling way are having trouble, it's the parent that's freaking out and thinking this child needs to have a job or study or do something now. So broaden your perspective out and think, how am I going to get in front of these kids, whether it's careers days at the local schools, whether it's the Facebook forums, create a video, what it's like to work in this practice. And unlike the Australian Dental Association video, don't just show a video of a dental assistant cleaning, because the role is so much more than that. And funnily enough, cleaning isn't strong enough incentive to come on board. But really recognize that people want to work somewhere where it's fulfilling and have great job satisfaction. Most people do want that. You certainly want to attract people who want to really enjoy and contribute and have the benefits of having an impact. You want to attract those sort of people into the job interview process. Training a dental assistant is so much easier than training other jobs in other professions, because where else do you have the person training you in the surgery with you every step of the way? You really, very quickly, that person develops the skills to be able to assist well, and then it's just practice and repetition after that.
And somebody with an enthusiastic human being with a good attitude who wants to learn and grow is easy to train at anything, really, aren't they? So
yeah, that's it. And so there are different ways of, you don't want someone just coming in just to fulfill a job. You want someone who's coming in who enjoys life, they've got a happy disposition, they want to have a good impact, and the type that will gain great satisfaction by the amount of effort that they put in. It's definitely been our experience that the more energy and enthusiasm you put into your role, the greater level of job satisfaction that you achieve. And so coming at things from this perspective and recognizing we're in a world now where fulfillment at your job is achievable, but also possibly more necessary now than maybe in the past. Gone are the days where you can say, God, I'm just thankful to have a job. Like it's just so hard to get a job. Doesn't matter if I don't have great fulfillment. I'm committed. I'm motivated because I have a job, a source of income. There seems to be additional levels that are desired for team members to jump on board. And those levels of desire just embolden our team culture and increase the amount of fulfillment that we all get when we create that kind of environment. And so it's had us going down this path of understanding that as dental practice management consultants, we are there for dental practices that just start up from scratch. And so really helping them to identify the foundational systems, the core team that they've got hired, developing some basic goals. And then once they've done that, then we can help practices who are established to become, operational mastery. So they're doing very well at their systems. They're really well considered systems that are working very well for the growth of the practice. There's more thought around the kind of services that you're providing, the kind of experience you're delivering to patients when you really are trying to attract patients who are long-term returning visitors to the practice. And so we're getting up to operational mastery. And then when you add the further level of fulfillment, that ascension up towards fulfillment, This is adding a more deepening level of involvement that we're having with dental practices. And from that, we have developed the Ascension Model. So the Ascension Model is just like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And if anyone's not aware of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, jump onto YouTube, look at a quick 5 or 10 minute explainer about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And what Maslow did was establish the fact that if we don't have our most basic needs as human beings satisfied, we can't and are not interested, and it does not occur to us to start satisfying higher needs. And so if we were in Hurricane Helene over in Florida terribly, and we had particular goals for our business, and then Hurricane Helene went through and destroyed our home, we no longer have fresh running water or electricity, we no longer care about the goals of the business. We have jumped all the way down to very basic needs that need to be fulfilled before we can aspire to anything greater again. And so our Ascension Model is like that. So the very basic part of our Ascension Model, which is where we do most of our work with startup dental practices, is level 1, which is foundations and structure. So we assess everything, with what the goals for the practice are, what people would like to achieve. We need to get to viability as quickly as we can. So we're identifying basic goals and strategies to achieve those goals. And then only once that level 1 has been satisfied can you then aspire. Does it occur to you to aspire, that you feel it's a need to aspire to level 2, which is operational mastery. So you're really establishing consistency, stability, growth, profit generation in your dental practice. The kind of key performance indicators that you're tracking are more detailed. And all of a sudden, you've usually got a larger team that you're employing to help you on your journey. Once level 2 has been satisfied, then we're moving into levels 3, 4, and 5. Level 3, high performance. So this is where we're, from the very start, if we start employing people who have got the capacity to grow, they enjoy growing, they've shown evidence in their resume and conversations that they are on some kind of self-awareness journey, that they have a deep desire to become better and master what they do. Those are the sort of people that we can work beautifully with to develop a really high-performing team. The kind of patient experience they're delivering is so much beyond what patients would normally expect when they come along to a dental practice. But then we've got high performance in terms of the team culture that you're creating, your management style as practice managers and as practice owners, and your leadership style too. It all goes up a rung, and the kind of challenges that you have as a practice and as a leader of these practices, it changes as we ascend through this Ascension Model. And it's recognizing where those differences are and where that growth then ascends you to the next level. Level 4 is impact. So this is where we're really transforming teams, practices, and communities in terms of the impact each individual has on each other, the patient itself, and the broader community, and the impact the leader has on everyone as well. And the top level of the Ascension Model is fulfillment. And fulfillment is such an extraordinary space because this is the top level and encompasses more than just your experience at your dental practice. Fulfillment is achieving personal joy, fulfillment, and gratitude for all team members, not just the dental practice owners, and not just in their practices, but in their lives as well. This is a true self-mastery space that Australasia's passion provocateur, Charles Covest, assists us with the level 5 in the Ascension Model. So this is transforming the way we work with practices.
There is. And, when we've got a fulfilled, engaged team, the culture's great, everybody enjoys work, leadership and management becomes so much easier when that's happening. And overall, profitability is through the roof when all these things are ticking along.
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure. And I think it's worthwhile hovering over those benefits of a really fully engaged, fully fulfilled team. And the level of motivation when you walk into that kind of team, as opposed to a team where people are a little bit all over the shop and they're not having great satisfaction, the level of engagement is so different. And if you can imagine a completely disengaged team, when you have a staff meeting and you ask for some input, Do you get any input? Nah. Are people bored? Yeah. However, when you have got people who are recognizing that their enjoyment at work is because of the deepening level of impact they have on fellow team members and patients, all of a sudden, the things they've got to offer in those team meetings, wildly different. What about implementing a new system? As a practice, we've decided to implement this new system. If it's a disengaged team of people who don't really have a desire to get a great amount of satisfaction out of their work, for a disengaged team, putting in place a new system or strategy is like eye rolling. Oh my God, something in addition to what I have to do. I'm going to be even more tired at the end of every week. Whereas a beautifully engaged team who have been involved in the process and it may be one of their ideas that is actually coming to fruition, then they are excited because the sense of progress, the sense of getting better at what we do as an individual and as a team, as a practice, is so motivating that, yeah, give us something new to do because this is exciting stuff here. We're talking about a different type of person. And with our communications with many dental practices who have been down this battered journey of trying to find somebody good, the concept, the mindset that a lot of them have had is that those sort of people aren't out there. And we say they absolutely are out there. You're just not attracting them because the old ways, the old verbiage, all the things isn't working, isn't actually speaking to that person at their heart. So one of the other benefits, of course, when we're talking about adding in additional energy and enthusiasm behind what we do is that, of course, everything that's being rolled out, the systems, the patient experience, the way people are interacting with each other, helping each other get through the day, the way that they respond to the leader of the organisation saying we're going to implement this new thing, do this thing differently, is you've got a bunch of people who are, anything new is going to only add to their enjoyment of their work rather than detract from it. And so now you no longer have people who become saboteurs in the organisation. And you can imagine all of the team dynamics improve as well. You're not likely to have any kind of gossiping. The attendance rate of your team members is high because what's one of the reasons why people take sickies when they're not really sick is because it takes such an enormous amount of emotional energy to get up again today, to go and face that place again. And it's just too much. But now you've got people who bounce out of bed. They're like, you beauty, look at the place I get to go and work at. We're all in this. We're all making life better for each other. And we're on this journey together. And it's so satisfying. Why wouldn't I want to be there?
Yesterday I was I went to a function and there was a 20-year-old girl there that was telling me how much she loves her job. You know how nice it was to hear? You don't hear that much.
Yeah.
And she was a teacher's aide. And she works from 8:15 or 8:45 in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon, 5 days a week, has 3 months holidays. But that time that she's there, she just loves it. And it was so nice to hear from a young person that she was so engaged. She goes, I can't wait to get to work tomorrow.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And it prevents a whole lot of problems from happening and it encourages a whole lot of great things to happen. And it really is the path forward for a strong, viable business. And because when we are trying to make improvements to the practice that we own or manage, it requires everyone to be on board with that. And it does remind me of what we just mentioned earlier in one of our classes for the students for the dental practice management course, is that recognizing that there are within AFL teams, for example, being Melbourne, AFL is the code of footy that we tend to follow. And there are many, many instances of new draft picks going into one particular team and not achieving great success. And they say, oh, well, we picked the wrong person. And so they put them back in the draft and that person then gets picked up by another club that has a different culture, a different environment, and they absolutely excel and reach their potential. And it's recognizing that these wonderful people are out there because there is evidence everywhere to prove that. You just indicated a story. We've spoken about our industry with the auxiliary dental members was filled with people like us as well that wanted to have a meaningful career and a meaningful impact on the people that we serve in terms of the patients, but also the team members that we work with as well. And how do we speak their language so they know that we're the practice to come and apply for a job for, and that dentistry is a thing for them, could be a thing for them. But then how do we hang on to them? And we've got to make sure that we're creating an environment that is really conducive to attracting and hanging on to those kind of people. Because another story that we've heard very often is, I know I could get paid more somewhere else, but there's no way I'm leaving this culture. And the environment that we end up creating can be working for us or against us. And the person who is possibly not very qualified to answer the question, do you create a great environment for your workers, is not the owner. It's the people who are working in that environment, and indeed the people that have possibly left that environment. And so part of the work that we do when we are working to these deepening levels with dental practices is interviewing all the team members, finding out exactly what the experience and the reality is for them as well. So we're not just improving in terms of the way we're recruiting, but we're improving in terms of identifying helpful things we can do in our environment to make sure that we are becoming an employer of choice, a dental practice of choice. And so when we do go through the efforts of team training, and we always encourage within the team training, do self-awareness training as well. The better we know ourselves, the more successful we are at working with other people and serving our dental patients as well. And it is a full package deal, which is why when we do work with practices that are starting from scratch and just employing their team members, this is such a wonderful focus point. This is the beautiful opportunity to get really great-minded people, mindset-minded people coming into the environment and in the organisation at the start, and we all grow together and aspire to be better. Certainly, we can work with teams where, and we have certainly worked with teams where existing team members are not on board with this kind of thinking. They do want to just turn up for the wage. They're not turning up for any greater reason than that. Sometimes they have become a little bit of a saboteur to the organisation in terms that they're gossiping or not enthusiastically rolling out new systems and strategies for success. And that's all groovy and fine. The thing is that we want to be able to help practices create an environment that is its own filter. So the people who want to be on board, they are well supported and come with us on the journey. If it's become a place that's not for you, that's all groovy and fine. You go find your ideal practice, and we're going to incorporate somebody else into this organisation that, through a very careful interview process and particular types of questionnaires and surveys, that we are helping to attract people who may not even have dental on the horizon, but then we are assessing what kind of self-motivator are they? Do they enjoy growing, and do they enjoy taking responsibility of their position in the world? So we are employing a great group of people moving forward. Well, they've got the potential for that.
I think that's one of the other areas that can be of concern to some practices when they want to make these kind of shifts or change. They know things haven't been that great for a while. They want to shift that culture. They want to make some changes. They perhaps want to get some trainers in to help with all of that. And there's a lot of resistance. They're scared of upsetting people. People will leave maybe, all that sort of thing. But, the only way is through kind of thing. You need to go through and make those changes. And those people that don't want to learn and grow or don't like that kind of direction, they'll jump off the bus and you can still move forward with your path. Otherwise, you're stuck there.
Yeah, that's it. Because another common thing that we've heard is, I'd love to get you guys to come on for on-site team training, but I know half my team won't be interested. And we're like, well, that's the reason to bring us on, so you can identify who those people are and say this is the way forward, because maybe they will self-select themselves out. But we will create an environment where we can help transform people who are transformable. We can always improve the environment, change the environment, and therefore get different results with the existing team members. However, if there are ever any of those team members that just have a bad attitude, unfortunately, we are not attitude changers. Nobody is. It's only the person that can change their own attitude. And if they still have that attitude that is not helpful, even though the environment is one of great support and aspiration moving forward, that's all good. Just replace them with somebody who's going to be more appreciative of the position that's available in that particular practice and can really grow with the whole team and get great satisfaction from it at the same time. So there have been big changes to our website. There is a survey that dental practices can take that can help identify at which level they are functioning at. That can then help us identify exactly the kind of coaching program, how we need to customize it for that unique particular practice, because there's going to be differing levels of establishment and systems mastery and profitability that they're at, but also different levels of self-awareness and aspiration that they're at as well. And we're terribly excited by this, because one of our vision really is, when we're looking off into the future, our vision is that practice by practice, we are helping the profession by making it something that people actually start going, you know what, dental is for me, not just as a practitioner, but for any role that I could play within a dental practice. I want to work in dental because that's where it's at. That's where job satisfaction at. I can have a magnificent impact on the people around me and my community. And it's really tapping into more core desires that we have as human beings in this world. And so therefore dentistry, I'm going to beat a path to that. That's a pretty picture, rather than some of the assumptions that are going out that don't go into dental. It's a bit dead end and there's no areas for improvement or growth, because you and I are certainly examples, along with thousands of others, that you can grow in all sorts of different ways. And, I had my own dental practice for 10 years. I was the first non-dentist to own a practice in Australia. And I loved every minute of those 10 years. And, you've gone through your practice management, and we've got this business together that has evolved and changed from our own separate businesses to us merging. And we are in constant communication with a whole bunch of former dental assistants that now are doing all sorts of different things in the industry, but also we are still in communication with practices and working with practices that have had dental assistants there for 10, 20, 30 years, still gaining enormous satisfaction from it. And indeed, if you and I ever sit back into that role again, for whatever reason, for team training, it's so enjoyable. We remember back to that level of enjoyment that we're getting from it.
Agreed.
So the things that we offer are still the same. We've just got opportunities to go far deeper with people. We've still got the membership, which is the Academy. That is our learning hub. And for just $70 a month, dental practices can register as a member of the Academy, get access to a growing library of over 100 training videos for dental team members. On top of that, you've got the chat, Academy chat, which is like AI combined with you and me. So 24/7, you can have guidance and direction about whatever's going on in your practice at the moment. That is revolutionary. It's just magnificent. People are getting great satisfaction from that. We've still got our online courses. We've got a whole bunch of short courses, but our main course, which is the most popular one, is the Dental Practice Management course, which is a year-long course. There's live sessions and live coaching all the way through, and that's where dental practice owners and managers can learn how to successfully manage a dental practice. We've got our on-site workshops, and we do them both here in our home state of Victoria. We also fly interstate for these workshops as well, where we really have that strong, engaging, experiential feel of doing things a little bit differently as a dental practice, and giving them lots of role plays and experience on doing that. And of course, we've got our coaching programs, and our coaching programs are designed in such a way that the time, energy, commitment from you guys, because we know that practices out there are enormously busy with all, and it's very difficult to sometimes carve out the time and attention needed to actually make improvements on your practice. Programs are in one length duration to be able to achieve all the goals that we want to achieve, but you've got that flexibility that, depending on how busy you are and financial situation, we can be 1 month on, 1 month off. We can be 3 months on, then pause for a couple of months. So we really want to make sure it's customizable and flexible to the degree that you actually get that assistance, because it's a very difficult position to be in, where you want to do things differently. You know that the answer is out there, but there are certain barriers in place to actually achieving that. We want to be able to give people a bit of traction in terms of that as well. It's one of the most satisfying things, isn't it, Many, when going into a practice and helping them to see that change is possible and easy and enjoyable, because this is what we've experienced in our own life as well. There's something very inspiring about seeing a different way of doing things, getting different results, and thinking, wow, life, that's progress. And as Tony Robbins says, we are at our happiest as human beings when we feel like we're progressing.
And you feel that kind of energy when we're doing on-site workshops and people get a chance to actually contemplate all these things. So,
absolutely. So we encourage dental practices to jump on a phone call, a complimentary Zoom session, discovery call with us, and just explore what this could possibly mean for your particular dental practice. In the show notes, there's going to be a link to arrange one of those discovery calls. There is also a link to our website where you can read through our revised content so you can get a deeper understanding of the deeper work that we can do with your dental practice. Thanks for joining me, Meenie.
Thanks for having me, Julie.
See you next time.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, then I encourage you to head over to Ameena and my website, dentalbusinessmastery.com.au. You will find all the information that you need if you would like to gain our assistance in helping you and your team achieve great success. If you would like to find out more, you can also email us directly at info@dentalbusinessmastery.com.au. Thanks so much for listening.